What's up, YouTube? It's your girl Jazzy J with another Mommy Tips Tuesday. So today I want to talk about breastfeeding. I did it for both of my kids. I had to stop breastfeeding for Leilani when she was 6 months old because I got mastitis and I got an infection. And mastitis is just when your breast gets so engorged with milk that they start to you start to create nodules in your breast. The shit hurts. But I also got an infection on top of that. So the antibiotics that I was on, I wasn't able to breastfeed, and I cried. It hurt my soul because I wanted to keep going, but you know, she was a formula fed baby after that, and she is fine. Baby number 2, Clifton, I breastfed him for 14.5 months. So yeah, I'm here to drop some of the knowledge on breastfeeding, and I had different experiences with both, so I want to share those experiences with the new coming mommies or mommies who maybe didn't breastfeed with baby number 1 and want to try it with baby number 2. So let's get started. I wanted to share 5 things that you guys should know about breastfeeding. So here we go. Number 1, everybody is different. I'm sharing my story with you, but my story is not going to be your story. Everybody produces quantities of milk differently. Everybody's production of breast milk is different. I have several people who I know wanted to breastfeed really, really bad, and they just were very unsuccessful with it for different reasons. One of the myths that I want to cover is that if you have big breasts, you're going to have a lot of milk. If you have small breasts, you're not going to have any milk. Total complete lie. Not true. I didn't have any breasts before I had kids. I mean, I don't really have much now, but I've gotten them after. My size before I had children, I was a B. When I was breastfeeding, I was a double D. I know that's hard to believe. I promise you, I could show you my bras if you want. I had a lot of milk, but you have to take care of your body while you're breastfeeding to be successful at it. So just remember that everybody is different. If you heard a success story from someone, that doesn't mean that that's going to be you. If you heard a failure story from someone, that does not mean that it's going to be you. Just remember that you have to learn your body, what your body needs to create milk, what your body needs to be able to feed your child. You have to be in tune with your child's needs as well, because every kid is different. I have my cousin who, she was breastfeeding her child. Now, her ex-husband is Samoan, Taye. And so her children required a lot of breast milk. They just would not get full, okay? So she produced milk in mass quantities. Like, her body just knew, because she was in tune with her child. So she knew, her body knew, this is not going to fill him up. I need to create more. So she took care of her body to be able to produce the amount of milk that her child needed. That's number 1. Everybody's different. So please, please, please do not get discouraged if you feel like it's taking you a little while to tap into breastfeeding. Breastfeeding requires a lot of patience, especially the first time around. Number 2, the shit hurts, okay? It is painful like a... People cannot prepare you for how painful breastfeeding is, okay? But there is a silver lining. There is, I promise you. If you can get past 21 days of pain, I know that sounds like a lot, and it might be less for some people, but for me, it took about 3 weeks. If you can get past that milestone, I promise you, it gets better. I promise that the pain goes away. I promise that once you get a rhythm going, it's second nature. What is it called? First nature, second nature? I don't know. Your body automatically does it. Your body doesn't feel it anymore. And it's just like, boom, you attach them and you can even do stuff. You're not even thinking about it anymore. So it hurts like hell. I'm not going to sugarcoat that for y'all. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. It hurts. Your nipples are going to crack. Your nipples are going to bleed. They're going to swell. And it's all going to happen right before the baby gets hungry. So please just be mindful of that it hurts. But there is a silver lining, and it does get better. And if you can just push through those painful days, it is going to benefit your baby so much, so much, so much. We all have heard the wonders that breast milk can do for your babies. Number 3, production amount. supplements and water. What I did was, first of all, again, going back to everybody is different and adding the supplement and water. When I had my children, my breast milk didn't come right away. I know a lot of people maybe get I know some people who's actually gotten breast milk before they even had their babies. I was not that one. My milk took at least 48 hours to drop once I had my children. I think it's just my body, realizing, oh, baby's out. Baby's gonna be hungry. My sister-in-law, she would sneak a black beer into the hospital for me both times. The black Guinness, like that nasty one that like has that super thick taste, it's not even good, like that black Guinness. That's the one I had both times. The minute I had it, boom, my milk came in. So I don't know if it would have eventually dropped like with that amount of milk if I didn't have the beer, but there's something in the beer that helps your body create the breast milk. So both times I had a beer right after having the baby. My milk dropped right after that, and I was able to breastfeed. The supplements, you have to take care of your body while you're breastfeeding. There's old wives' tales that say you can't eat this and you can't eat that and you can't eat this, while your doctor is telling you can eat anything. You can eat anything you want. I have found with my children, this is just me, whatever I ate, they were eating. So if I happened to have beans that day, we both had gas. If I happened to have cabbage that day, we both had gas. So guess what I wasn't eating? Nothing that gave me gas. Anything. Some people get gas with broccoli. Some people get gas with fish. Shocking, right? Some people get gas, again, with beans, cabbage. Nothing that gave me gas I could eat while I was breastfeeding. Nothing. Because that way my children didn't have any gas. And I have to say that my children did not suffer from having gassy systems. My kids did not have diarrhea. My kids did not have constipation, and they did not have gas. And that gas, I know that some people out there have children who are gassy every single day, and that is painful because when they're crying, you want to cry, like, I can't help you, like there's only so much gripe water you can give the baby for gas. There's only so many but tummy rubs that you can do. It's gonna hurt. That's just like when we have gas. When you're trying to get it out, it's uncomfortable. So can you imagine a little baby? So if you're thinking about breastfeeding, just be very conscious of the foods that create gas so that you don't pass them on to your child. Another thing too, my mom, she would come and cook for me, and it was very bland, which helped me lose the weight. With Leilani, I lost 30 pounds in 3 weeks. I was skinnier after I had her than before I got pregnant because my mom kept me on a very, very strict diet the first time around. I wish she would have came back and kept me on a strict diet the second time, because that's when I gained all my weight. But with the first time, it was fruits, vegetables, that toasted bread that's like super, super hard and you already buy it hard at the store. She'll give me that with like some jam and boiled chicken. And the boiled chicken barely had any salt and pepper on it because her belief, old wives' tales, seasoning can give the baby gas or whatever. Second time around, I did cook with seasoning. So the seasoning part, I don't necessarily think it's true. But anything else besides that, I remember having cabbage once, and yes, Clifton did have a little gas. And I remember eating bean tacos, which are like my favorite, and he did have some gas. So after that, I just nipped it and I didn't have it anymore. For your production, supplements and water, you have to drink a lot of water. The more water you drink, the more milk you're going to make. Supplements, I used a supplement called fenugreek, and I'll put a picture up so you can see it. It is all natural. It is all natural supplements. It makes your breast milk smell like maple syrup. It's the funniest thing. I didn't believe it. A friend of mine used it. She was the one who recommended it to me, and so she was like, dude, it's gonna smell like maple syrup. And I'm like, what? And sure enough, I started taking them, and it really made my milk smell like maple syrup. So I would take 3 capsules 3 times a day, and all it does is it keeps your milk flowing, with that water intake. You want to make sure that you eat a lot of fruits and vegetables to make sure that the milk has nutrition. Water and supplements are gonna have you produce more milk, but you also want it to be, full with nutrients. So make sure you eat right: protein, veggies, fruit. So yes, remember, supplements and water are your friend. Number 4, pumping and storing. Now, remember how I said the shit hurts? When you're pumping, when you initially start pumping, it hurts. It hurts as well. It's the same thing. It's the same concept. You put the pump on your breast while you're pumping. It's sucking on your breast, so it's gonna hurt. But eventually, again, there's a silver lining. It gets better. It doesn't hurt all the time. The more you pump, the more your body thinks your kid is eating. So if you want to store because you know you're going to go back to work, I would suggest you feed your kid with one breast and you pump the second one. Then when it's next feeding, you feed your kid with the breast you pumped, then you pump the one that you fed him with the first time. Because it just keeps it going. It keeps it going. Your body thinks that you need more milk. Your body thinks that you need more milk. Because you're going to keep producing. You're going to keep producing. An old wives' tale that is true. Your body will become in sync with your child. I was at the store one time, and Cliff had the baby. Cliff had the kids at home, and I was at Target, and all of a sudden I felt this tingling, like, you know how like when your foot goes to sleep and then it's waking up and it's like tingling and you're like, oh shit, like that. Like that's the feeling I felt. What was it? It was milk coming down. And Cliff called me like, hey, are you almost done? And I was like, why? What happened? He was like, I think the baby's hungry because he will not stop crying. I'm trying to give him the pacifier. I tried to give him the bottle with the milk you left, and it's not working. I think he wants, you know, to breastfeed. Because Clifton was a solely breastfed kid. He barely had any bottles. The only time that he ever drank breast milk out of a bottle was if we were going out of town. If our moms were watching the babies, then that's the only times he would ever drink out of a bottle. But other than that, he was solely breastfed baby, no bottles, no formula. Clifton didn't have any formula. So he called me and he's like, I think he's hungry. I think he should come home. And I was like, oh my God. I turned around to look. My shirt is filled with like breast milk stains. I like ran out of Target. I was so embarrassed. And those pads, those pads that you use, the cotton pads that you use, they work to a certain extent, but those things can get soaked real quick if you have a lot of milk in those breasts. They also have this gel one. Oh my God. Okay, the gel breast pad. The gel breast pad, it feels so good. The first couple weeks when you're breastfeeding and they hurt and they cracked and they're bleeding, you get the gel pad and it cools the skin, like it cools the nipple, and it just kind of gives it a little relief. So yes, your body will become in sync with your child, and so your body's gonna know, oh, it's feeding time. I'm about to fill you up, and you can feel your breast getting heavy. You can feel your breast filling up. If you're continuously breastfeeding your kid, it's not just a random thing or not just a bedtime thing. If you're consistently feeding your kid, you're gonna be in sync with your child. So pumping, I do recommend pumping because I felt like it helped me continue my my production. My body thought I needed more, so it gave me more. At one point of my breastfeeding life, I could pump 8 ounces out of one breast and feed him completely out of the other until he was knocked out. Breast milk wasted. So I just think if you're consistent with your drinking water, you're drinking your supplements, you're eating right, you're gonna be successful with the production of your milk. Now, there are some people who've tried everything. They have tried everything and they cannot get any milk. I don't know why that is. I'll refer you back to Mother Nature and Science. I'm not sure, but if you do happen to get milk, there's some women don't get milk at all. After the colostrum, they don't get any milk, zero. Then those are the kind of women that I mean, like, I don't know how to help. But if you get a little bit of milk, you can increase the intake because that means that your breasts are able to make the milk. So you can definitely increase your production. Storing it, I stored a lot of milk. I kept it at my mother-in-law's house and I kept it at my house. I stored tons of milk, and it's very, very useful because you can store it. Like, I think if it's in a deep freezer, you can store it like 9 months or something like that. I kept mine in there longer. I think I had milk stored, but see, that's another thing too. I know that you can keep it longer, but my kid ate so much that when I was gone, he would, drink the milk. So I was consistently replenishing my storing And but if you have like one of those fridges that has the freezer at the bottom and you actually put the milk all the way at the bottom, you can store it for a really, really, really long time. If you defreeze a bag that has been frozen and you don't use the milk, pour it out. Don't refreeze it. At that point, it's no longer good. So you can freeze the bag. Once you defreeze it, use it. Please make sure you use it. And breast milk cannot be warmed in a microwave. It just kind of kills off all the nutrients. So it's like giving your kid something they shouldn't be drinking anyway. And breast milk, I think it can, once it's warm, I think you can only leave it out like 3 hours or something like that, because that shit will stink. Like if you leave a bottle out and it's been out for about 2 hours and you open it up, that thing is gonna smell. So just make sure you always, you know, open it, smell it, and go from there. Now, weaning your kid off, that's number 5, is hard. I personally had to, when I did it with Leilani, it's hard because it hurts. Your breasts are filling up with milk. You can't pump and you can't latch them on to your breast because then your body thinks it needs to keep creating milk. So what happens, your breasts start to get hard, they start to get engorged, and that is painful. You start to get nodules in your breast, that's painful. So what did I used to do? 1, you go into a hot shower, the hottest that you can stand, and you let the water directly fall on your breasts. You're gonna laugh because the minute that hot water starts landing on your breasts and they're hard and engorged, it's gonna go like this. The milk's just gonna flow out by itself. So that's how I used to do it. Number 1. Number 2, you have to milk yourself like a cow. What I mean by milk yourself like a cow is like you literally grab your breast and squeeze it. What you don't want to do is give your nipple stimulation, but you're squeezing the milk out. So you're milking yourself like a cow. And that's the 2 ways that I was able to stop and wean my kids off of breastfeeding. However, with Clifton, we ended up going to Vegas for 3 days because he was such a breast baby that it was hard. I would just give up and like, oh, I tried to stop a few times and I couldn't. It was just like, oh, okay, fine. And I would latch him on, and it was so painful to have to get rid of the milk that I'm just like, fine, whatever. So we finally, you know, Cliff was like, no, that's it. We're going to Vegas. He's just gonna have to get off, you know, breastfeeding, blah, blah, blah. And that's how I did it. I cut him off cold turkey, my poor baby. And I left for 3 days. He finished off the breast milk that was in the bottles. And then after that, he still didn't want formula. He went from breast milk in a breast to cow milk in a cup. He still didn't have any bottle. He refused the bottle. He probably was looking at it like, what's this? Fake boob. This ain't real. So yes, those are the 5 things that I wanted to share with you guys as far as breastfeeding. Now, I know I mentioned that they're gonna crack. I mentioned they're gonna bleed. How can you heal the skin on your nipple to continue breastfeeding? A few ways. So there's this thing they give you at the hospital. It's called lanolin. I personally used it when I didn't have the other thing that I used, and I'll mention that. So the lanolin is just, it looks like Vaseline. You put it on your breast and it just keeps it moisturized, and it allows your breast to not dry out while it's healing. It works, it does its job, but I personally wasn't my favorite. I used nipple butter, and I'm gonna put a picture here so you guys can see. It's all natural, and when you put it on, it does the same thing as the lanolin, but it's an all natural product, so that's why I favored it and I liked it better. But the best thing you can do, absolute best thing you can do, is put some of your breast milk on your nipple. How do you do that? Squeeze some breast milk into a cotton ball and put it on there. Just put it on there. Once it's like so, it's been sitting on your breasts for a little while, squeeze the milk onto your nipple and just let them air dry. It's gonna be funny because your man's gonna walk in a few times and you're just gonna be right there topless, but just tell them this is not for their entertainment. This is for your healing. So that's the best thing you can do for your hurting, cracked, bleeding nipples. Use your own breast milk on your breast, let them air dry. Then once they've air dried, use the gel breast pad on top, because then it keeps it cool. So you put those and you put them inside your bra, and those you tend to stick to you because they're gel. Leave them on there. But if you start to leak if your breasts start to leak milk while you have those on, then they're not going to be really good anymore, because they start to get like thick, and the gel just kind of like what happens with the baby diaper, how the cotton gets all like mushy. That's kind of what happens to the gel pad. So you want to make sure you take them off before you start leaking, and you'll start to learn your body, and you'll start to realize like, oh, I'm about to start leaking, so let me put a cotton pad on, or let me put some people use it's like a reusable pad, and you just wash it, kind of like the ones that come in like the shoulder pads. They kind of remind me of shoulder pads. So there's different kinds of pads that you can use for your breast, but I do recommend them. They ease your nipples. They keep you from having accidents in public, because it's embarrassing. I was embarrassed. Some people might not be embarrassed, but I was just like, I don't want people to know that I'm leaking. Like, it's none of their business. So yeah, I actually loved breastfeeding. A lot of people look at me like I'm crazy, but it was such a good bonding moment with my son. With Leilani, we bonded, but Leilani just never really liked breastfeeding. Leilani wanted that bottle. She wanted that breast milk in that bottle, because that bottle could hold 8 to 10 ounces, and she was hungry, and she was gonna eat all of it. But she didn't. I would like latch her on, and she would fuss. She would just fuss. Once we gave her the bottle with the milk, with the breast milk, she was the happiest little baby ever in the world. Clifton, though, he needed that bonding. Maybe it's because he's a boy. I don't know. They say daughters are daddy's girls and boys are mama's boys. So maybe that's why. I don't know. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the information. I hope you guys found it knowledgeable. I hope you guys found it helpful. Please like, share, comment, and hit the bell so you guys can get an alert when I post another Mommy Tips Tuesday. And let me know if you guys would like for me to touch on any other subject or have any questions on breastfeeding, because I'll be really happy to answer those questions and be able to help any other mom out there, because parenting doesn't come with a guide. Parenting doesn't come with instructions or a manual. We got to figure it out. So let's help each other out. So you guys have a good day, and I will see you guys on another Tuesday.